Well, from Istanbul now, I'm joined by Nilüfer Sezgin, who is the Chief Economist at İş Asset Management. Nilüfer, great to have you with us. Thank you for joining us here on Al Jazeera. So we have this guy, he's highly regarded in the financial world. He himself has pledged a return to rational economic policies. What does he mean by that? And will he have a free hand to do so?
I think this is a very good question, because back in 2020, we had an episode where the central bank governor and the economy minister were changed, and that change was accompanied by policies that are more, that were including more rational actions. The central bank stopped, for instance, intervening in the FX market, inflation targeting became an objective again. And we saw some monetary tightening. However, this didn't last long. And after that, the economy policymakers became committed even more to the so-called new economy model and unconventional tools. So it's very right to ask whether Şimşek will be able to deliver what he's intended to. But I think this time it's a little bit different, because now the policymakers have the chance to observe the outcome, the results of the new economy model. And it appears that there are some more significant constraints to keep the new economy model up and running. So they had a second look at this new economy model, and now both they have to change it, and they believe that there's a good reason to change it, because the new economy model, unfortunately, it couldn't lead to better trade performance, trade balance, better export performance, and a reduction in import dependency. So I think this time it's going to be different. And,
right, but it's a fine line for him to tread, isn't it, for Şimşek to tread, because his boss, the president, is known for the fact that he thinks that high interest rates are the cause of high inflation. So what can we expect, do you think, in terms of interest rates?
Yeah, I think the interest rates will be hiked because if you look at the news flow that was circulated when first Mr. Şimşek and President Erdogan met, the unnamed AKP officials were claiming that there will be going back to orthodox policies, and if that necessitates an interest rate hike, that will be the case. I mean, if that is needed, then interest rates will be hiked. And also, I combine this with Şimşek's own explanation, own emphasis on rational policies, predictability, rule-based economy. So I think this will include an interest rate hike. And at the next meeting, we will probably see a hike in interest rates.
And what about the lira? What's he going to do about that, and also for the country's depleted reserves?
Yeah, the most important thing, the most important issue to tackle in the first place is the FX reserves, actually, and to restrict or lower FX demand. And in order to do that, with the monetary tightening, I think there will be a slowdown in loan growth. The economy will slow down. So this will lead to a lower import demand. And more importantly, the currency is going to depreciate probably. We already saw some depreciation, but I think there may be room to go more. And it's going to be, quite contradictory, because at a time when monetary tightening is happening, you normally wouldn't see the currency weakening. But the fact that the central bank will allow the free market to determine the exchange rate rather than by, intervening in the FX market, that will lead to a higher interest rate and a higher exchange rate at the same time. And a higher exchange rate will also allow some adjustment in the external deficit. So overall, this will probably lead to this will contain FX demand. And also, this is not going to only help the external deficit side. This will also help local investors, residents, to probably at first stop accumulation of hard currency. And then at some point, when the currency and interest rates are at more fair levels, then at some point they may decide to go back to Turkish lira savings.
Bottom line, and briefly if you would, is he the man to fix the economy?
Yeah, I think so, because there is an available background for that. As I said, the local investors are very much dollarized. We don't have much foreign investors. The foreign investor positioning in the Turkish market is extremely low compared to historical standards. So I think when as soon as the Şimşek team, Şimşek and his team proves that they're delivering what they promise, I think there will be some increased confidence, which will attract foreign investment and which will convince local investors to go back to Turkish lira. So yes, in the medium term, we need some structural reforms, some changes in tax policy, education, etc. But in the short term, there is room for enormous improvement, even with basic implementing basic economy principles.